Welcome back to On Right Podcast. Here you have Elijah alongside Grant. We're going to dive into a recap of last week's Michigan game as well as the Lions debacle. Then we're going to get into this upcoming biggest game of the Big Ten schedule so far: Michigan versus Penn State, and then the Lions are on a bye, much needed bye, I believe. So I'm just going to kind of throw it over to you. We haven't even talked about what team to talk about first, but I'll let you kind of steer it whatever way you want to go.
Yeah, well, I think let's dive in. Might as well start on a good foot. Michigan. I think was impressed by this victory. It's always like, I don't know. Sometimes I have to be like, man, like I feel like I'll be like overreacting sometimes because like you watch the game and you're like, man, like you start hearing the commentary and just some of the stuff that's being said, and it's just like, I feel like you kind of feed off of that. But if you look at the box score, we only gave up like 60-something pass yards the second half. And like we've just been doing a great job of just like literally just shutting teams down on defense. Like we did kind of take a little while to get into the groove, but they was running their offense. I mean, they was running trips formations like in the slot. I mean, they running hurry up, the quarterback threw the ball like 50, 55 times, something ridiculous. I mean, they were really like just trying to keep that tempo. I mean, they saw us, struggle a little bit against Maryland, with that type of offense. I think it was another opportunity for us to just sit down on, in the secondary, pass rush, they able to get loose. They actually ended up, I think, firing their O-line coach.
I didn't know that
this week. So, I think it's a solid victory. We're just we're taking care of business. It's not pretty, but I mean, offense look better, and I can say I'm looking forward to this week, just seeing what next step we take.
I'm definitely looking forward to this week. And one thing I'll say about the team is, it's not always the prettiest, but they seem to be. They make the right plays at the right time. The defense steps up when it needs to. When we have to have a drive or get down the field, the offense seems to put it together. They seem to make it work when push comes to shove. So I really do like that about this team. I like a lot. I think we kind of have a good mix on offense. I'm beginning to think JJ is getting a little more comfortable there. They always talk about how many reps he hasn't had. He's really kind of learning on the fly when all things considered. And he is really taking. He's taking strides every game. Well, obviously, it looked sexier early on when he was hitting 40, 50-yard bombs down the field. Yep. But I would say, though, he's playing very well versus good Big Ten teams, versus teams that are bowl bound, versus teams that have one of the best defenses as in Iowa. He's every time something comes up to him, he's making the most of it. Adjustments to most of it. And I would say there's obviously room to grow there if we're going to make those next couple of steps. And this is one of them this weekend. You got to put together a full game plan here. Overall, I would just say versus Indiana, I'll just touch on a few things. What they were doing on offense was it was interesting because they were running like what would you call it, like a run and shoot? They were kind of like
5 wide,
going very fast. They had us doing something interesting where we were sending like the furthest man out and just to try to play trickeration games and then the side note, I forgot all about this, how bad the officiating was overall. That was one of the worst officiating games, both sides. I think even in a loss, the Indiana fans will probably have to agree with us that it was just some bad calls. They took points off after commercial breaks. They were, huddling up over just very simple calls. I thought that was
sideline warnings.
Yeah. I'm just not sure what that whole thing was. It was very, very odd in general.
Right.
And
you can hardly ever see sideline warnings called like that's.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree. So I just think, and I think the one, sideline. I think I don't know. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it was even on something weird, like they were reviewing a play or something. Like it wasn't daring. Anyways. Overall, I thought that's really stood out to me, just how odd those reps were. But big game coming up here. At the big house, you got to take care of business. I believe they have Clifford, he's like a 6-year senior, a guy he's been playing since we had, Shea Patterson. So it's just one of them, seasoned team, and Penn State's always a tricky team, but I really do. I like what we got going on. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And just to touch too on JJ, like I watched the interview of him this week, and I watched the interview with him this week. It's like Apple Watch going off. He talked about his injury, and he was just saying he's like, I'm still getting strength back. So, he tore his lat muscle. So just that kind of made me kind of like step back and be like, all right, like, I know we're getting on him about the deep ball, but this man really, the reps is minimal in like a lot of these situations. And but I do also think too, and like I've kind of been reading people saying this, and it kind of just reminded me of like how Harbaugh kind of operates, and how there's always like a method to his madness, just like with the offense. It's been looking like pretty kind of vanilla here and there, and and we kind of been waiting for them to just like open things up. And I mean, I would be surprised if we just kind of see some pretty crazy stuff going on. Hopefully nothing that we put ourselves in bad spots, but I think play action. They've been really just going up there and just saying like, this is what we're doing, stop it. And they're being successful, very successful with just doing the bare minimum. Besides 2 or 3 drives kind of sputtering here and there, but that happens. I mean, you like winning the Big Ten is hard, so like I think the offense is like they're trending in the right direction. And I do feel like just kind of hearing people saying that, and just knowing who he is, and just how methodical he is, and how like he has that like NFL type thought process where everything had we're not talking about injuries, we're not doing this, just really like close to the best. So I'm just looking forward to just seeing what happens on offense. And then too, Penn State, their defense is like top 10 in rushing, rush defense, and it's probably gonna be the toughest challenge we see from a defensive standpoint. So I do feel like it's going to be a lot more of having to work play action and just work other things from a passing standpoint into the offense.
Yeah, no, so nothing goes without the run game. That needs to happen.
Absolutely.
A very, you got to be able to run the ball
at least 25 times. Like that's
enough to work. Because I do think you're going to win this game on JJ's arm. I think, or legs, or whatever it is. I think he'll be the difference maker, and this is why he was named a starter, is for games like this, that he can take us up the notch and really solidify this team. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And I agree with you. You texted me during the game about some of the just things you were noticing, or the as far as them every time they're in motion, they're running the ball and things. And I don't think, and I do think. Sorry, what I meant to say is I do think there is some of, like you said, this is what we want to do and you can't stop it. Yep. I do think there is some of that, but also Harbaugh is playing that chess game, and he'll throw something out there this week just to make you think about it. And just them linebackers watching film or whatever the case may be, I think there's a little bit of both. I think maybe
they're on a bye week, so they're just watching the game. So it's like stuff you don't think about. I didn't think about at first.
Yeah, 100%. So I just think they're gonna do. That's what we want to do, is what I'm trying to say. And I think there is a little bit of the, hey, just try to stop us. But when a team like Penn State, you can't run your head into the wall. You name JJ a starter for this type of reason, and he's playing very well. And I do think it's time for some of those deep balls to hit. But also, he is just, he's looking like a real quarterback there. There's a few times where maybe he could have put it in a better placement where a guy could have kept running a few times. But overall, he's doing pretty much about everything you can ask, especially considering he's not doing the craziness that we've seen in like a Maryland game.
Right.
And just a complete side note, back to the Indiana game, I would think there was would have been like a 97, 98, maybe I'm probably tripping. No, probably like a 94-yard touchdown that was dropped by, I think it was Roman Wilson. Just something, those little things like that, this is the type of game where those all have to come together.
Yeah,
we gotta have a perfect game.
I think it's interesting because like we're always, we already know who we're already being compared with. Like it's literally, Ohio State. They're like, yeah, they're humming, they're unstoppable. C.J. Stroud's also a junior, second year starter. Like, and I get it, they do got the freaks on this, on the outside, 5-star receivers left and right, but like, JJ, he's 6 games in, so like, obviously not getting too ahead of ourselves, but imagine him this time next year, like what that's going to look like, as long as he keeps progressing the way that he is. So I think it's just, I just think this weekend will be, very. I think that we're just going to see, some fireworks here and there. I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to open some things up. It's good to see Schoonmaker and Ronnie Bell. They kind of emerging as like, the go-to guys. Cornelius Johnson stepping in there. Andrew Anthony. Like, I'm hoping we really start to get some of these weapons rolling. Donovan Edwards. Like, I think we really got to get him going because I think he could be like a real serious weapon off the backfield too.
Yeah, no, for sure. You not to put you on the spot here, do you know what's the status on Eric All? Is he just gone?
I think the last thing I read was probably like 2-3 weeks ago. Back injury. They said he kind of maybe like should have did surgery in the off season, but they don't want to rule him out. But it might be something where he might not be available till just later on in the season. Okay. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no. I think Shoemaker is a good tight end, very solid. Obviously, he's proven that. I just think, if we had a combination of them two, that would have been beautiful.
That's something too. I'm sure we had more, in the playbook, but we watch all go 60-some yards, 50-some yards against Penn State last year. So it's sure we had some stuff waiting for him, but I'm glad Schoonmaker's just stepping in. Freshman Loveland stepping in. The other guy, Braden, I think, number 82. Like, this has been a nice little group effort on that side too.
Sure, and I think last year, we watched that game together down in Mexico. But I think last year it was that was kind of like, I think that was coming off of the Michigan State loss. Maybe there was a week in between, but I think that was a game where it's kind of we got the season jump started.
Yep.
And this could be something where we do that this year, where this is not to overlook State or not to overlook whoever else, but this is one major hurdle.
Statement game.
Take care of business for a couple of weeks, and then who we're playing. I think that's kind of how we got to go look at this. This is these guys are going to try to prevent you from getting our job done. Along, this is a war. This is a battle we have to get past to make it to the real war at the end of the season. And I think that's something that I can't reiterate enough. But I feel good about it. I feel.
Me too.
I think we've played some tough teams the last 2 weeks. Especially the Iowa game. That's a tough place to go win. Giant killer. Easily JJ could have shit the bed in that game, or Blake Corm or whoever else for that matter. And they didn't. And then they followed up with a, was really, it was 31-10 is a solid game, but one play away from being 38-10. Threw a pick in the end zone. It happened. I'm not mad about that play. That's going to be a touchdown, 8-9 times out of 10. So really close to it, like a 38-10 game. You can kind of imagine if one thing goes our way, but even a 31-10 game, I feel like we're rolling. And I think,
even for me, it's like the worry about the offense is kind of going down because that defense is starting to just really turn into the anchor. Me, I was talking about the pass rush all off season long. Just that's something I really felt like we needed to just like really address, and it's getting better by the week. Mike Morris, I think he leading the Big Ten in sacks now. Yabi Oki, he's looking like the top 5 All-American he was as a freshman, going to Bama. One thing I didn't know that he initially tried to transfer to Michigan before Bama or after he left Bama, but like I guess he felt like he wasn't ready or something. But that's just something I read the other day. I thought was pretty interesting.
You've seen Hutch and Ajabo on that depth.
Yeah, probably was like, well, might. but yeah, things worked out. He still, he obviously still showed up. But you're just seeing a group effort. This freshman out there. There's one play where one of the last sacks of the game, like 4 or 5 minutes left. Derek Moore, 4-star All-American, got the sack. But you also had 2 freshmen inside, Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, also providing that pressure. So it's just, you're seeing like the contribution is everywhere. And I saw a stat. I don't remember. I should have wrote it down, but I think at this point last year we only had 14 sacks as a team, and I think now at this point we have 22. So I
more
think
production overall. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think probably a good chunk of those came from the first 3 games of the season, but I mean, it's still you got guys peaking at the right time. It's looking like it's gonna be Mike Morris and the Abioki kind of like holding it down, and you got guys you can work in that are just as good. Secondary really holding things down a little bit. Turner was a little shaky, but all this past weekend. But
I like Turner though. I do. I think he's good.
Yeah, I do too. And like I said, 60 pass yards, I think, something like that in the second half. Like they literally, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, like sack. Like it was making it real ugly for Indiana towards the end of the game.
No, for sure. It was good. Good game to watch, especially that second half, and they started clinching down. So no.
Yep.
So
I just think, I was going to ask you score prediction. Just wanted to see what you thought as far as this weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go Michigan 31, Penn State 21. I think we'll get it done. I do think good game, competitive game pretty much throughout, but I think we'll get it done when it matters most. I expect a big game from JJ. Expect Blake Corum to, thing about Blake Corum is you can bottle him up and then boom, one play, 50, 60 yards. He has that in him. So I think, just try to set the tone with the line of scrimmage, and then with JJ's arm defense is, I expect to see, Clifford on his back a decent amount.
Right. Yep. I think I'm gonna say 28-17. And I think today's got a little added motivation. Mike Hart, glad that he's doing well. That was obviously a scary situation. So I mean, guys can be fired up and just ready to, do their thing. Since he's not gonna really be available coming up for this game. So I think what they're really gonna be able to do is just control line of scrimmage. I think they are gonna open the playbook up more and just show some things that haven't been shown yet. Penn State got a solid defense, they got a quarterback that's a 6-year starter, so he got the graduate and to advantage of that COVID year.
Yeah.
So they, Penn State, we haven't really talked a whole lot about them. I don't really know too much about them, to be honest with you, but they always, whenever you got a guy like, that's been there that long and been like a 3-4 year starter, I mean, these environments don't really like rattle them, but I do feel like it's going to be, you got the Mays out, Michael Phelps, like honorary captain, all this stuff going on. So, I hope we don't like sleepwalk in there with everything going on. And, take this team seriously. And I think this is where the party really gets started, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like things really get rolling. So
100%. Yeah,
yep.
championship next 6 weeks. That's football. You gotta have championship.
We're in the tournament now.
Yep.
Pretty much. This is really where it get cracking. So yeah. Wanted to touch on the Lions a little bit. Really just dive into what happened during the Patriots game. I'll let you kick it off and just see.
Yeah, no, I mean, you sounded so depressed as soon as you brought him up. You sounded.
So what?
You sounded so depressed as soon as you brought him up.
Yeah, it was really night and day. It's like, yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. You could not be a more different situation from two different football organizations or programs, whatever you want to call them. Just a. I think I begin to kind of point to the red flags, and even last week, we said we got to be a little more realistic with the team, and that's, I think we were spot on. Being a week early on that, I think a lot of people are beginning to now sound alarms or say that, hey, there's some smoke here, but I think if you were paying attention, there's been smoke for a while, and now there might be a fight. So I think that's kind of how I look at it. It's I don't even know where to take this. I just think it was overall bad game plan. Bill Belichick did exactly what I said he was going to do, and that was expose the team, on offense and defense. 29-0 is just, it's demoralizing. When you don't score a point, you can't get nothing together. and they put up a decent amount. I think that's just overall demoralizing, bad. It's hard to kind of recover from that. Your offense, that was the one thing you can hang your hat on. You were number one in the league in offense, and now that's from number one to zero. I think that's just a quick turn of the light, and I don't really know where you can take it from here. I think the coach is probably on the verge of maybe, I don't want to say losing the locker room. That's kind of a cheesy cliche, but I think now it's hard to keep up the same everything. It's hard to buy in, like we were saying back in August. It's hard to buy in to a coach like this when it's not working. That's tough on a player. It's tough on the fan base.
Right. And I even say too, man, I mean, number one offense, like rah, but like how many points did we score in the second half of that Seahawks game? We was down, 2 touchdowns. How many points did we score in the second half of that Eagles game? We were down, coming from behind. Like we're just getting hit in the face, and like we're running against prevent. This is how I feel. Like I feel like we're horrible starts, and then we're just playing like the defense looks like they're they know we got to pass, but they're just making sure stuff don't get behind them. And I give Goff credit. He's doing his thing. Getting the ball out. He's playing a lot better this year. I mean, I think he had a lot to prove, but I don't know, man. I just think overall, like that was a very, very bad loss. I literally, like, I was telling somebody, all they're gonna do is run the ball, and if we can't beat the third string quarterback, like, shame on us. And I just think it's and obviously, I mean, it's Bill Belichick, right? Best coach of all time. But I just think it just got to a point to where, like, you're going for it on 4th and 9 in the first quarter.
Yep.
Like, you went for it on 4th down 6 times and didn't get it once. You were just so okay with giving a third string quarterback the ball at like midfield.
Yep.
Like, and I might have told you, I was telling somebody, like, it could have been 52-0 easily if Mac Jones was playing. Just because, like, they're going for it on 4th and giving them the ball back at midfield.
Yep.
Like, they're like, and that's where I think it's just, you're out there, just you're coached on emotion. I mean, I feel like, to me, that's such a, like, easy thing to just do, is just punt the ball to the third string quarterback, try to pin him within the 10, the 5, and make him go all the way. Like, and if you look at it from this standpoint, they kicked 5 field goals, right? You pin them, you go for it on 4th down 2 times the whole game. You pin them those 4 times. You might be getting the ball back at midfield, and you might be able to go up there and kick field goals.
Yep.
We signed a kicker and didn't use him because he made an excuse about thinking that we were kicking. At one point, we were down 6-0, and we were kicking to the open side of the end zone, and he thought there was wind. And people are legit saying that there is no wind out there that day. Like, he's just talking out of his ass. Like, it's like literally.
Right. And the other kicker didn't have a problem. Like, yeah.
He made 5.
Yeah.
And like 3 of them was from like 40 yards. I would know. He was on my fantasy team last week. He got me the dub. Props to him.
I mean, I think you're speaking the truth, and I think it's so we go for it our first possession, and right off rip, you're setting the tone. Give him a short field. You could have pinned that guy back, first year starter, and be, let's just be, at the 15 or something. That's an entire different mindset, making him snap the ball, looking down 85 yards to the field, and then it is getting the ball at like the 45-yard line, where you only need a good 20, 25 yards to get a field goal. I just think it's it's laughable. He really does not generally know how to strategize. Generally, he does not know risk management and when you should try to pin a guy back. And I mean, you also have the worst defense in the league. Why are you giving people short fields? I mean, that is literally not rocket science. That is, that you got to help. That I tweeted that instantly when we went for it on 4th. I mean, we have the worst defense. Way to help out the worst defense in the league is what I said. I just think it's one of those. How many? We were calling this out last year. How many coaching blenders has he single-handedly caused? I think it was 2 or 3 last year.
Yep.
And we're up to
completely losing the game because of that.
Probably at least 2 or 3 this year so far.
Right.
So, if we have a coach that's, a run of the mill NFL coach, we probably have that guy has 6 more victories under his belt at least.
Yeah.
And that's just with not making mistakes.
Right.
Let's not consider that he is not also doing any favors for us and making a strategy to go out and win a game. So I just think it's bad. And I'll be honest, I don't see. I think we're gonna ride it out with him. I think we're gonna ride it out with him. I don't think we should.
I think it's on that Matt Rule timeline, in my opinion. Now, like I think like that, the seat is like hot now. Like I think there was some you got to imagine there's some conversations being had after that. Like, I mean, going for it on 4th, 6 times, signing a kicker and not using him against a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, bro.
Third-string quarterback was 17 of 21 for 188 yards. You have the worst defense in the league, and you decide to not punt the ball. Like,
Right.
know it. Like you literally are just like, and then even on top of that, and we can't really play the injury game because everybody has injury issues in the NFL, but you're watching your team. Like you literally watch your team, like people are getting hurt. So you're not even really even thinking about, in my opinion, you're not really thinking about the team at that point. Like you're just like, I mean, it's all pure emotion. You're not thinking. You're irritated. Oh man, well, 4th and 4. All right, let's keep them on their heels. Like now it's like, you're not even surprising nobody no more.
Yeah.
People are shocked if you punt now.
No, I agree. I don't know. It is inexcusable. He should not have a job. But I also think, I just think they're in, more or less, for lack of a better term, they're in bed with him. I think it's one of those like they're invested in him winning. Yep. They're invested in this, and we're gonna ride it to it. I mean, I think we probably would have to not win another game, or maybe he would have to have at or less wins than he did last year for it to be a possibility for me. If he can get to 3, I think it's safe. I think he's safe for another year. And and that should not be acceptable. But I think it's just, if he gets back to that, which I think realistically, we haven't played Green Bay yet. We ain't played. That's 2 losses.
And now the New York teams, they look good. So like, you really wasted opportunities.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So I really think we're looking at, maybe another 2 wins here. I think, and it's sorry that they're going to ride it out with them, but I think, they can blame a lot. We're going to get another high pick and, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, because I also, like I said, I think he's on a Matt Rule type timeline now. Matt Rule, I think he finished 11 and 24. So he had to go 7 and 10 between now and this time next year to have the same record. So like, I think one thing.
That ain't happening.
Yeah, so like think about that right there, and I think that gets me is back to these teams. Like the Giants, Jets, Jaguars, dumpster fires. Like last year, like Urban Meyer was, raising hell, and like Jack, like what I'm saying, like they were bad, and like now they're like, they're 2 and 3, but like they played the Eagles. They played the Eagles tough. Like they beat the brakes off of Chargers. We just watched the Giants beat Aaron Rodgers in London. Watch the Jets. They started off like 1 and 2. Now they're 3 and 2, or 0 and 2, or they're 3 and 2 now, or something like that. Like, and I think we've had like a solid draft. We obviously there's still a talent issue there, but it's like, man, like what is, when is it that switch gonna flip? Like when is it gonna stop with all the talking and you just like making a scene that, I don't know. It's like I can't, you can't continue to just like show all this emotion without action. And I think people are gonna be like, well, they're fighting though. Like that's just like, when is that? I guess my question to people would be like, when is that gonna run out? When is that no longer enough as a fan? You know what I'm saying? Like, when is that? Like, when do you want more than as a fan? Like hearing people say like, he could lose the rest of his games. That's going to be my coach. Like, why? Why would you want that?
Yeah, as far as I view that as more or less. That's people who don't know football, who thinks that. That's what I think. I'm literally stealing this from somebody, but I think it was Pat McAfee said this back in the summer. He was like, talking about the Hard Knocks. He goes, that's what a coach like if people wrote a movie about a football coach, that's what they would write him as, is a loudmouth ex-football player, juiced up looking, like it's one of them. That's what they would do. And I think,
right.
And that's what we kind of want. I think we know what we want. We wanted, people way back in the day, the best coach we ever had, they would hate on Jim Caldwell for being too nonchalant, just real monotone at the thing. And, he was talking like this, but, and regardless, I know we both don't hate that, but people hate on him with that. And then we went in and he was Super Bowl champ, X's and O's guy. And then we went and got Mr. Pencil, we got, and then, it's one of them, I think, and then now we're going, and then people made fun of him for being bigger and sloppy. And then what we go do? We went and got
pat on backwards.
Yeah, we went and got a juiced up coach who actually used to play. And, I just think we'll probably now, after this, get the most analytical dude you could think of, and then
try to find us
we do the opposite of whatever we have,
an offensive genius. Just, it's like we're just like a step behind on the trends.
Yeah, we're copycats. And it just ain't working right. We copycat, and then we get, maybe the analytical guy, I can't really think, the dude at the Chargers, let's say
Brandon Staley.
Yeah. Maybe we should have got him 2 years ago, but we didn't. So now we're going to go get, some little guy that tries to mimic him, and then it ain't working off.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's kind of where we're at. It's an absolute shit show. I mean, that's really the way to put it. And I think we got
waters, man.
It ain't, he said it was the low point. It ain't the low point. I think we're going to have a lot more embarrassing losses coming our way a few times. Let's not, we're going to get blown out on national TV versus the Bills in front of everybody while we eating.
They beat the Steelers 38-3, and they have probably one of the best defenses in the league.
My man had the QB had like 280 yards or something at half.
Yeah, he was like 415. He had three receivers with over 75 receiving yards. Just ridiculous. Like, it's I don't know, man. Like I said, it's getting to that point where I'm like, everyone's on board. They don't understand why people are on board. Biting kneecaps just sounds stupider and stupider by the day. Now that it sounded cool to begin with, but it's just like, all the show, that's starting to go out the window. I can just see it. Like, I watched his interview today, and I'm like, press conference, I'm just sitting there just listening, and I'm like, he's lost. He's rambling and having people ask the question again because he didn't answer it yet, dancing around stuff.
Yep. How many games does he got to win this year to keep his job? You said 7 and 10 over the next player. So you think he doesn't win no more this year, and
I think if he were to mess around and win like 2 more games this year, I think there's an outside chance he get fired. And if if the defense just continues to do what they do, like outside chance. I think if he wins like 4 more, 5 more, like I don't 6 and 11, I think they're like, okay, but like next year, it's really like, he might be getting, maybe reevaluations like midweek or mid-season, as far as, just depending on where things unfold, because he's lost. And that's the coaching staff is dope. They got all these former players and everything, but I don't see nobody that I really recognize that is, besides like Deuce, but like that guy that just, kind of holds stuff together. Like, it just feels like everybody's kind of just, I could be wrong though. I don't know. Like, I just like he's just so lost, and there's like he doesn't really have any, like.
If the offense doesn't work, or let me backtrack. I've been hearing people say Ben Johnson might be the guy, offensive genius, like you said. But if the offense doesn't work the rest of the year, then I think that goes completely out of the window. If they don't finish top 10, we're gonna hire the offensive genius, 11th, 20 ranked offense in the league or something, but so I think if they don't finish top 10, then I think that we have a lot of question marks regarding that. I personally don't believe in him as a coach, but I've been hearing people on Twitter and podcasts talk about that. But outside of that, I just can't see this football team at their current state putting together that many more victories. I still think we'll have the sacrificial lamb in Aaron Glenn. That'll probably buy him a little more time. But you know, I think I'm personally done with this like this as a whole. You know, I just think it's crazy. You know, I never really bought in, but it's one of those things where you can just go out there and lose, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't go out there and get demolished and cost yourself the other that third string quarterback first start. You got to be in that game. You know,
Yeah.
you got to be like it's a no brainer. You got.
That's facts, man. Like I was floored. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really couldn't. Like I'm like, this dude, he's third string. We're giving him the ball at midfield.
Yeah.
He completes 2 passes. They go 3 and out. They kick a field goal. Like it's like they kick 5 field goals. Like
Yeah, they probably like they really ain't about to do this, are they? They're really about to give us the ball.
like, and then 4th and 9 in the first. My man's out there playing Madden. Going for it on 4th and 9. People don't even do that on Madden in the first quarter. Like that's how insane that is.
I would have punted it in 7th grade if we were playing Madden.
But it makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
no, I agree. No, I agree, and put him in a very, very bad predicament. But I mean, that's back to what we said. Golf for going back to the mean, going back to what he is, coughing it up. I still don't even know what exactly he did to fumble it. That's a whole nother story. But you know, either way, he doesn't fumble, he gets sacked there. You know, okay, they get it's not a scoop and score. They get the ball on the 40 and score 5 plays later. You know, so I think either way, it was a loss. You know, that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You know, I really don't know, man. I'm baffled by that. You know, it's it's just day one type shit, and you know, I don't know. It's just proving like you really can't come back from this. But, you know, I really don't.
You just gotta hope.
Who we play after the bye?
Huh?
Who we play right after the bye?
Cowboys.
Oh, that's another loss. So, yeah. Either way, Dak or Cooper Rush, they'll both light us up.
Yeah.
Cooper Rush is 10 times better than Zappy.
Yeah. That's what's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So no,
man.
I know we'll dive back in, see other developments as the the bye week progresses, but hopefully we can start, a couple, hopefully Swift can come back. Hopefully
get back healthy. You got guys coming off IR.
Yep.
Hopefully
they can show up again. I think it's
I think Pascal, like that DN they drafted, I think he might be ready by like mid-October. They got some guys just like some defensive players. So, we hope everybody, all being said, everybody get healthy. Hopefully get Swift back, get St. Brown back more healthy. Everybody rest up to get some guys off the, IR that come in and contribute, and we'll see what happens.
No, I agree. And getting all those players back, much better shape. Yep. But if your coach is actively working against you, it doesn't matter who you got on the field. It isn't.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
You got anything else for people?
That's all. We just got to worry about one team this week. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
We'll be back with an episode coming out Monday. Talk about the game.
Peace.